Now, Theresa May has sought to reassure EU leaders that Britain does remain unconditionally committed to the collective defence of Europe despite Brexit. The Prime Minister says that the UK will continue to provide assistance to states which were victims of armed aggression, terrorism or natural disasters. Olivier Guita, who's an international security and geopolitical risk consultant and has advised NATO, the EU and Europol in the past, joins us live. Olivier, good to see you. How important is the UK in terms of security and defence to the EU and Europol?
It's one of the major countries that provide information to Europol and has extremely good links and relationship with other EU countries. What I can say is that in the past, rather than going through Europol, countries because of personal relationship between security people, we're going directly, let's say, from Paris to London to talk about a specific case because it was quicker, and also they were scared of potential leaks if many member countries would know about a specific case.
The Prime Minister was accused previously of using the UK's power in this area as a bit of a bargaining chip. She has now come out and said unconditional, whatever happens with Brexit, we guarantee security. How important was that for the other EU leaders, do you think?
I think it was quite important, especially that we've seen in the past 2 years terrorism within Western Europe coming to the fore of the news cycle and also in the life of people. And especially when you see how transnational movements are happening. And we've seen the case in Paris where the perpetrators came from Belgium. So there's a huge importance in terms of exchange of information. And the UK is one of the main countries in terms of gathering information with its bet on electronic intelligence.
Speaking of electronic intelligence, what's the biggest risks facing the bloc right now? She's obviously in Estonia, she's spoken to British troops there about the risk that they face, but what do you think are the overall risks here?
Cyber is obviously one issue, especially when we talk about Estonia, and it's really at the forefront of some of the risks that we're looking at. But also in the larger frame, nuclear proliferation is also an issue. We've seen with the case of North Korea coming quickly to the front of the risks that, allowing a rogue regime to have nuclear weapons has changed completely the equation.
You advised NATO previously. President Macron of France said in a speech a few days ago he'd basically like to see an EU army. It was one of the main reasons that people wanted to leave the EU in this country. What's the future for NATO if that happens?
If that were to happen, then NATO would be less relevant than it is today, but I don't think that Macron has a case on the European army. It's been put forth in the past few years, and it would be redundant. And if I can put one example to you, the fact that European countries have already trouble to funding NATO, how are they going to fund a European army?
Interesting. Olivier, thank you for coming to speak to us.
You're welcome.